Hello there, Lynx here. Welcome to more of Katawa Shoujo, if my memory is correct. Now we are getting to the scene that really got me annoyed even more with you know who, kind of. Anyway, Muto reads equations and formulas to us one by one in his usual unenthusiastic monotone directly from the book. Monotone voice probably, but okay. It's possible that he might be excited about what he teaches us. Sometimes he can display an awkward spark of passion for it, as he's starting to get into the material. Most days, however, are like this one. What we're covering is fairly simple, so I find it increasingly difficult to keep my concentration on him. It's not too long until my legs begin aching again, which only makes it even harder. I'm almost starting to regret walking around the city yesterday with Lily. Except I don't. Since leaving the hospital, I've done very little physical exertion. Walking to and from the local store hardly counts. Despite Emmy's attempts when I first arrived at Yamaku, I've largely given up on the idea of ever returning to my old level of fitness. I have little doubt that's why walking around town for so many hours has made me quite so sore. It's depressing, and it reminds me of one more thing I can do since I had my heart attack. It makes me feel pathetic. No, Ikazawa. It's odd for Muto to ask Hanako a question, but not unheard of. She quickly jumps to her feet, a little startled, and immediately pins her eyes onto him. She knows that Muto calling her is rare, so all eyes in the classroom are going to be on her. This way she doesn't run the risk of making eye contact with anyone else. Yes? In this particular example of a redox reaction, the combustion of methane reaction actually produces one more product that is listed. Then is listed. And the product is? Even though it's a softball question, she timidly waits a bit before answering, biting down slightly on her lower lip as if to keep her concentration. Heat? Well done! This is an exothermic reaction, with the reaction giving more heat than is put into it. Receiving a nod from Muto, Hanako takes her seat once again and gives a relieved sigh. A shaky start, but it's something. It would be nice to take her out for her birthday somewhere different from the usual isolation of her room and the tea room. With the progress she's made until now, I don't think she'll have much problem going to the city. Right then, for the remainder of the class, I'd like you to work in group. Please, no. Yes, I love living in an apartment. Of 3 or 4 on the problems in chapter 12. I'll be here if you need me. Muto sits down behind his desk, pulls some loose sheets out of a folder, and starts on some kind of paperwork of his own. I thought teachers were supposed to do that kind of thing after class, not during it. Regardless, I look to my right to pick out someone to form a group with. I wish it was Miki. But no, those two are already here. And I don't think I'm going to get much say in the matter. I suppose we have a group then. Hey-chan, you want to work together? No. Okay, that's great. It's really been a while. Actually, you know, the glasses girl. If she was not in the group, it would be kind of fine. But, the class begins the process of noisily shuffling the desks around, with Shizune doing the same as she puts hers in front of mine. She's a little lucky to not be able to hear the din of the classroom. I wouldn't say something like that, which is loud enough to cause some discomfort. Truth be told, working with those who is a terrible outcome. Shizune might be pretty good at the subject, and Misha might have a nice handwriting. It's still a bad outcome. As I look to Misha, I notice a tall figure behind her. The shadow catches Misha's attention as well, and she turns to face the dark-haired observer. Good afternoon, Hanako! Hello. She finally notices Hanako after looking up and following the gaze of Misha and I. In question, she taps Misha on the shoulder to get her attention before signing away. Shinchan says, if you're looking for a group, you can join ours! Hanako looks down and blushes a little at the offer. Out of all the people in the class, Hanako's most familiar with the three of us, so it's reasonable that she'd come to us first. Well, what he just said is not particularly true when it comes to Lily's route. Then again, her actually coming up to a group with the intention of joining them is something she apparently very rarely did before. She leaves briefly to drag her desk over, and Shizu and Misha will back to me as soon as her back is turned. I guess we get to play again, Hichan! Ugh. You hardly ever play with us anymore! It happens way too often, though. I wonder why. You two always seem to have some ulterior motive. That hurt, Hichan! I almost think you were insulting me! Yeah, I did. But it's Hichan, so I know that you're joking! Except I'm not. Such a great sense of humor about it. It'd be awfully somewhere to take advantage of your good nature. Like make you help with their work. She just seems excited for a second. Maybe. A little surprised that I'm willing to challenge her, but when she sees Hanako coming back, she backs off with a smile. I guess the mind games are over early today. Well, hopefully. Hanako gently sets her down her desk in front of Misha's. Her eyes are locked downward. And I'm left wondering, why until I look around the class? Most are busy setting up their groups, but a few are casting curious glances at her. At this range, it's hard to tell whether that is where their interest in her ends, or if they're talking about her as well. It's strange. No one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs off class. God damn it, can you stop? I'm literally skipping words because of that noise. No one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs off class to avoid group work, but now that she's making an effort, they are staring at her as if she's done something wrong. We all move to sort ourselves out, spreading our textbooks and worksheets around the larger surface created by the four joint desks. It is long before the class as a whole gets down to work. Hi Hanako, it's nice to finally work with you. Yeah. Are you the reason Hichan has been avoiding us lately? Hichan says it's rude, but if Hichan wanted to spend time with a cute girl, it's understandable. I don't think it's like that. Hanako starts to fidget, unused to this kind of attention. I think that an ordinary person would drop the conversation by now, but Misha is like the antithesis of Hanako. And of ordinary person. Part of that includes being blind to ordinary social cues, while Hanako is overly sensitive to them. Because of that, Misha burns ahead with the questions. Too quickly for me to get a chance to interject and guide the discussion somewhere more comfortable. Really? So, he wasn't hanging out with you yesterday? No. I can feel my cover being blown already. Lee didn't want Hanako to know that we were out buying presents for her, let alone planning out her birthday party. It wouldn't be good for her to find out. Yeah, I was doing something else. You know how it is. Really? I wonder what was so important for Hichan to blow us out like that. Every single thing would be more important. If it was to spend time with Hanako, then what could it be? It's really interesting. Anything would be more important than hanging out with those two. Now this is starting to feel like an interrogation. I'm surprised at how Misha is able to exert such a feeling of pressure without actually tending to. Except she isn't doing that at all. Who are you, Lily? Out of nowhere, Hanako managed to stumble on the answer. She may be dreadfully quiet and shy, but she's very intuitive. What makes you say that? You know, now that I think about it, I know who Hisao reminds me when it comes to trying to lie. I can imagine, maybe not to lie because he can't lie as well, but he literally is. He literally is just like a certain main character from well, pretty oldish anime that is airing right now as well. And this guy can't lie for anything. Also, I think there was a meme about it lately somewhere. Like, you know, what happens when he's about to lie and he was basically completely drenched in sweat. But yeah, he's terrible at it. I can imagine that if Hisao is, you know, in situation like right now, he's probably doing the same thing. By the way, I'm speaking of the protagonist. Kind of protagonist, I guess? Maybe not really, actually. Especially in the last season that is airing now, but in the male main character of Higurashi, this guy can't lie for anything. Like, even something that would not be a terrible lie would be like, yep, I need to change clothes right now. Anyway. Suspicious, Hichan. I demanded you explain yourself. Shouldn't you be doing the assignment? But it's so mysterious. Even Hanako wants to know. I turned to look at Hanako. It's true, from the expression on her face. It's obvious that she wants to know as well. And I think we're past the point where I could whistle out of having to provide an explanation. We went out shopping. That's all. That's all. I apologized to Lily in my mind. She did want to keep it secret, but now it doesn't seem possible anymore. Dude, just say you went go shopping. Akira didn't have time. Happens, work and so on. Hanako had, well, the therapist visiting, right? So she couldn't go with Lily as well. Boom. That's all there is to it. God damn it. It's not that hard to lie, man. I know. It's a terrible thing to say, but sometimes you just have to. And this is this kind of time. I think we've been over this topic already, but whatever. I feel a rush of conflicting emotions, so jumped that I can't really identify them, but they crash around my head as I try to calm down and speak. Alright, I'll tell you. I went into town with Lily, but it wasn't what you think. Lee and I were... for Hanako's birthday we were... The cat is out at the back, but looks like Hana is taking it a little better than I thought she would. A brief silence passes around our little group as Susan and Michelle look at each other sheepishly. Yeah, you've done and goofed. But then again, it's his fault as well for not being able to, for some reason, lie to them. Even though it wouldn't be that terrible of a lie, yo. I mean, you said, yeah, we went to buy presents. Dude, just say you went out shopping. It's the same thing, but without revealing. Anyway, I can tell that they didn't expect their game to turn out like this. Misha looks up to Hanako in order to apologize and then pauses. Hanako is staring at the middle of their desk and barely moving, a modeling expression on her face. I guess I was wrong about her taking it well. Hanako, I'm sorry. There is a few seconds pause, but Hanako lifts and shakes her head. It's okay. Her expression looks odd, like she's very tired. That doesn't seem natural, but it's nothing alarming. Nobody really wants to continue the current conversation, so we open our textbooks and begin our group work. This is pretty dull. While the equations we're supposed to work out as a group will take a while, most of it's going to be boringly mechanical. It also doesn't help that while this didn't go as bad as it could have, except it has left an awkward atmosphere around us. Still, we managed, except we didn't. Shizune's face betrays that she has about the same expectation of our work as I do, and the two of us begin to write our group's results. Bishou, on the other hand, is scrunching up her lips and very visibly trying to make heads or tails of what we're doing. Hanako is looking on quietly, absorbing what we write and what I say. She usually has the same expression when the teacher speaks. It's a shame her attendance is so unreliable. With the way she takes in information, I think she'd do quite well in class. If she actually followed the lessons regularly. I wonder if this might be why Shizune seems so hard on her.
Hey, Hanako! Do you understand this?
Bisha looks Hanako, but I suspect her hope is more to find a comrade in ignorance rather than genuine help.
Not really, I guess.
I'm surprised by how tense she is answering, but she settles back down. She breathes out, and the way her upper body and head lower reminds me of a deflating balloon. You okay? I could go over this bit if you want. Hanako shakes her head slightly. God damn it. But then again, I don't think she needs the extra explanation despite what she said. Bisha quickly interjects, entirely oblivious, and I end up slowly going through how we ended up at one of our results, step by step. Times like this remind me that this kind of work may not be mechanical for everyone, but rather feels that way to me due to my grasp of the subject. It's a satisfying feeling. As Misha brings her bald fist onto an open hand in realization, I discover another nice feeling. My explanation got through to her, and she managed to work out the next equation by herself with a minimum of guidance. Throughout all of this, Hanako is unusually unresponsive. She's normally very quiet, but one can still see her eyes rowing periodically over the landscape of the classroom in front of her, or anxiously moving her hands in some way, or shifting her shoulders periodically. Right now, these small movements that I've gotten used to seeing are all missing. Someone not moving at all is definitely weird. Even Misha can tell there's something wrong.
Hanako, are you sure you're okay? Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm fine.
A little more strongly this time. But she turns away as she says it. It only makes me doubt her answer. Yet at the same time, I can tell she doesn't want to talk about it further. Having already had one very awkward conversation today that I'm still not fully over, I don't want to pursue the matter too much either. We settle back into our routine, debating over our answers whenever a doubt comes up, but as time goes on, I notice that Hanako isn't talking at all. It's frustrating. She had made so much progress. It makes me a little angry at Shizune and Misha for undoing the surprisingly okay. Yes, it's on them, but it's also on you, let's face it. I know I'm at fault too, yeah. Maybe I could have kept it under wraps somehow. Yeah! Very easily. Anyway, Shizune has noticed Hanako's silence as well, and it's also getting antsy. I can see it on her face. It's strange that even though she's deaf, Shizune has perceived Hanako's unusual quietness sooner than Misha.
Hanako, you're being too quiet. You have to contribute too. Someday we might work on bigger project like ones that it's so big that it's worth celebrating afterwards, like with ice cream or a cake. If you act like this, we won't take you long.
I can tell that they're trying to tease her to bring her out of her shell, but I don't think that kind of approach will work on Hanako. It will just make her feel worse. Guys, don't kiss her like her. What did I just say? Don't tease her like that. Exactly.
Hey Chan, it's all in a good fun. She just says that teases everyone anyway.
Well, she shouldn't. They do back off on me. Misha moving away from the issue by asking me a question again. On seeing how difficult the problem she's working on is, I don't know whether it was a skillful dodge or mere coincidence. It takes way more of our time than necessary, because Shizune keeps disagreeing with me while I'm trying to explain to Misha, and Misha is quick to believe her over me. So quick, in fact, that she forgets to translate what Shizune is saying. Hey, the clock is kind of ticking down. We should speed up a little.
Hichan, you sound like a Hichan there.
Just because I clicked my watch. How dare you? Gee, is that really your text? Time management and something with the student council president? Huh? Sorry, had to. I look at Hanako's desk to see how she's doing. And freeze. Our papers are covered in equations, but Hanako's only halfway there. It seems like she hasn't written anything in the past 20 minutes. When I realize that, I want to kick myself for how dumb I've been. Yeah. I should have known that someone as fragile as Hanako wasn't just going to brush off what happened so easily. But I've been too eager to move on from an awkward situation to notice. She has been slowly shut down for the last half an hour. And I had no clue. Her pen is still in her hand, but she doesn't slowly spin it around like she usually does. There isn't a single idle movement from Hanako. Only the fact that she tries to inch away once she feels Shizune, Misha, and me looking at her tells me that she's even still conscious? We'll go away. And at least, in my case... Great, yawning attacks again. It's partly out of shame that it's gotten to this point. For on the outside, she has shut down. Almost completely. I know that it's a different story on the inside. What kind of things could she be thinking about as she tries harder and harder to shrink into herself, as if by willing if she could somehow disappear? Everyone is looking at her now, stealing quick glances in between putting the finishing touches on their work. Let's copy and paste. Okay. Misha attempts to ask what's wrong, but that only makes the problem worse. If she went further to her seat, she would probably run out of the room right now. Misha's questions are loud enough to be heard throughout the entire classroom, which makes it even worse. And for a second I'm ready to snap at her because I can only imagine how much worse it's making Hanako feel. Of course, if I were to do that, it would only make the situation worse. I believe that Hanako had gotten stronger, and she has, but it wasn't enough, and I was too eager to believe it. Now she's terrified, alone in the middle of the classroom, and there is nothing I can do without drawing more attention to her. It's infuriating, Misha's worried, and even Shizune is biting her lip. None of us know how to deal with this situation, so I decided to call Muto. His judgment was probably better than ours. I look up and manage to catch his eye. Silently motioning for him to go over. I want to make a little fuss, as little fuss about this as possible, since if there is anything that would make this worse, it's more attention being focused on her. I know that Hanako can see everyone staring at our group, specifically at her, because they know that if there's a problem it has to be her. Everyone knows her, and it's the first thing anyone's mind would leap to. Her reputation for being a true one has marked her as an unusual person, even in unusual Yamaku. Who knows how many times they have stared at her before. Maybe it's because she's seen the class staring at her so much that she feels their gazes like she does covering from them. The time it takes Mu to walk over must be like an eternity to Hanako, and she looks as if she's about to fall over. Muto quietly begins to ask what's wrong, before catching himself as he sees Hanako.
Did we upset her?
Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, it probably was the same. Muto bends down after calming Misha and looks intently at Hanako's face. Hi, Katawa. Can I help you at all? His voice is hushed and gentle. Everyone's acting so differently around Hanako now that the whole class has noticed something's wrong with her. Hanako doesn't respond, so Muto gently rests a hand on her shoulder. She starts shaking at his touch, but won't even look up. Hanako continues to stare into the equations on her desk, visions so unfocused that she even sees them. She's worse than before. I remember not even an hour ago she was able to talk to him almost normally. Muto grimaces a bit as he stands again, and now that his expression's changed, I can see he wasn't exactly unaffected by what happened either. He takes a breath to settle himself before speaking in a very quiet voice. I'm not impressed at how quickly he takes control of the situation. Is that it? Nothing's wrong then? Muto seems to say that to no one in particular. However, his words sound convincing enough that most of the people who were looking over at Hanako now turn away, getting back to their work. He gives a quick glance to his left and right. Several people at the desks around us are still staring curiously, but other than that, we seem to have escaped attracting too much attention. Muto notices me doing the same as him, and he smiles a little. in his usual stilted way. I think, for Ikazawa's sake, that it would be good to quickly take her somewhere away from others. Nakai, Hakamichi, could you please take Izawa out of the classroom? I'll keep everyone settled, so please don't worry about anything but her, okay? He looks at Misha to tell her to interpret his words for Shizune, but she's already finishing the translation by the time he does so. It's remarkable how little thought she needs to sign, as she still looks quite dazed otherwise. It sucks that we can't change this whole situation here, really. Nodding, Shizune and I stand and move to the either side of Hanako. Muto steps back to allow us some room, and talks to the table behind us, as some people there have begun to yawn just like we constantly. I don't know what is going on with me. Every single day, the attacks of yawning, it's ridiculous. To mutter between yourselves about what's going on. For technically I did sleep like 4 hours today. But I did sleep enough on the weekends. Kind of. Weird. I don't know. Whatever. We look at each other before lowering ourselves in unison, taking one arm around each of our shoulders and lifting. The two of us begin to walk, at a slow pace, to make sure we don't inadvertently hurt her. As much as we try to make this look normal, I'm quite sure there would be many more gazes on us if not for Muto's distraction. Eventually, thankfully, we reach the door and go through. Nobody's outside, so we walk down the hallway. It doesn't seem like it's making her more at ease when she was in the classroom. Finally ask if she wants to just sit down. For a while, we simply stay in place and wait for her to say something. Shizune tentatively rubs Hanako's shoulders, but there is no response. Eventually, she shakes her head a little when Shizune tries again. Both of us are looking at her, so we pick up on it immediately. You know what? I understand why Miki would prefer the male uniform. Anyway, Shizune's hand again comes to rest on Hanako's shoulder as she awakens, her face lifting to two very worried and anxious people looking at her. She looks at us silently for a while. I'm initially worried she might freak out or do something extreme, but those fears prove unwarranted as her expression slowly changes from an almost lifeless blank state to a more normal withdrawn shyness. She orderly lowers her head, her eyes evasively moving to the side. She looks embarrassed, almost ashamed. I want to say something, anything to help. I can't fall. I don't really know what just happened, or even what caused it. I feel helpless and ashamed of myself for not being of any use. Shizune sighs before looking at me. Even without words, I think I can tell what she's asking. I'll take Hanako to the nurse. Is that okay by you? Which does make sense to us because she can't hear me. I apologize for that so much. I have no control over it, I don't know why. I try to communicate my intentions through her hand gestures, but I don't feel like I managed to get through to her very well. Shizune makes a dreary face in response to my gesticulations, confirming my impression. She stops her finger in the air decisively, first at me, then at Hanako, and then towards the stairs. She waits for me to nod before pointing at herself, then pointing at the door of the classroom. I get the feeling Shizune is much better at this than I am. I nod her, since her plan is after all the same as mine. Shizune gets ready to make her exit, but she only leaves after looking at Hanako for quite some time. Are you okay with me taking you to the nurse's office? Hanako doesn't say anything or not, but she stands up in place by herself, and when I begin to walk, she obediently follows. I've read about people being katanic before, but I think this is the first time I'm seeing it for myself. She looks extremely tired. After everything that's happened, it's not a surprise. After Hanako silently takes off her shoes and lies on the bed in the infirmary, the nurse and I take our leave. She shuts the curtain behind us. We both take a seat, and I quietly go thoroughly through everything that happened in quite some detail. I want to understand what happened, and the nurse has as good a chance as anyone of knowing. He nods throughout my explanation, his face looking troubled as I finish. It must have been very troubling for you to have seen all of this.
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't.
I get that she fainted, but I don't really understand anything about why it happened or why she's acting like this. Yeah. He nods, but his face is clouded. You don't know either? Oh, well, yes and no. It's complicated. I assume you've heard about the concept of patient confidentiality at some point. This is a bit of a minefield in that respect. I'm going to put this pretty bluntly. This is a matter for Ikazawa, me, and her therapist. I moved to rest, but I think better of it. I won't deny what he says, but if I think this through rationally, what he says makes perfect sense. I understand. Good, good. I wish I could help you more, but I think what Ikazawa needs right now isn't somebody prying to her past or her emotions. She needs somebody to be there for her. She needs a friend. For what it's worth, I think you've done well in bringing her here. Sounds like you and your friends dealt with the situation well too. I'll give you a lollipop or a sticker as a reward, but you might be a little too old for that either. Nobody would complain, man. He gives a cocky grin, obviously trying his best to lighten the atmosphere. I'm not really in a laughing mood, but he does manage to get a smile out of me. Thanks. Now that I think about it, never any kind of doctor or freaking orthodontist or whatever in here has been giving out lollipops, candies, or anything. Dang, Poland is a crappy country. Thanks. Do you mind if I stay here with Hanako? I appreciate the vote, but I think it would be better let her rest for now. She'll be led back to her dormitory room this evening, so you could visit her then. I grieve him before standing. It feels like all I can ever do around the nurse is humbly agree to what he says, but it was the same with the doctors in the hospital, too. The walk back to the classroom is a long one, my mind feeling heavy under a wave of so many things happening so suddenly. Even as I re-enter the classroom, I think about Hanako. My stomach feels like it's turning into knots while I think about how to deal with her. I still know what I'm going to say when I see her again. Thankfully, the class doesn't pay me much heed. There are a couple of questioning glances, but overall not many people seem to be very aware of what happened. Muto raises his eyebrows to get my attention when I pass by his desk. Nakai, I take it that Ikazawa is in the infirmary now? Yeah. I took her there, and the nurse said I should let her rest. Muto nods, assuring me that I made the right call. He scratched his chin for a second before rising from his desk. Everyone, I want to continue with the exercise. Nakai, I'll see you in the hallway, please. His speech is hushed, but overall he doesn't seem to be acting too differently from how she really does. God damn it. Being a teacher, maybe it's to be expected. As we go out in the hallway, I notice him taking a quick glance left and right, which is the different direction that I should be making with the head, but whatever, to check if there are any students milling around. The hallway is nearly soundless, but I can't think of anything except waiting for Muto to speak. Unbearable. Sorry. Nakai, what do you think the purpose of this school is? To cater to the needs of disabled students? Muto scratched his head and shakes it. No, if we want to do that, we would have built a whole new school from scratch. One floor, talking whiteboards, that kind of thing. Look around, Nakai. This school is about giving you all the future you would have been denied in regular education. Talking. Is that really a thing? I don't think I looked it previously. Is a topping whiteboard really a thing? I have no idea. It's not? I don't know. I don't care. Actually, okay, I care, but whatever. Not now. Huh? Think of it this way. If you wanted to graduate and go straight into the hospital, do you think we'd put in this much effort? The bluntness of Muto's statement temporarily stuns me, causing me to forget about the immediate situation. No? That's right, we want you all to live here as useful members of society. I'm not quite sure I'm following you. I have high hopes for you, Nakai. You're possibly the first student I've had that gets my lectures.
That isn't something that a teacher should be admitting so freely.
You could still take your studies of science into university. Have you ever considered that?
I can't say I have.
Well, what have you considered? For your future, that is. I can't say that I've put much thought into my future. For a moment, I'm distinctly reminded of Lee questioning me about the same subject. It's only been a little over 5 months since I was gasping for air on the ground. It's too soon to think about the future, and besides, Hanako's problems seem much bigger to me right now. Yeah, now that I think about it, it is kind of problematic when you are worrying about someone else's problems more than about your own self. I mean, sometimes it's kind of understandable though, but yeah, it can get you stuck in a place, right? Anyway, Muto gives a disapproving sigh before continuing. Think of this place as an opportunity. Here you have boundless facilities, good teachers, plus the added bonus of the nurse and his staff. You should be doing nothing but thinking of the future. Right. As I raise my head to meet his gaze, a thought occurs to me. It's almost like Muto totally sidestepped the issue at hand. Excuse me, but why do none of the staff seem to care when Hanako skips class? I've seen you watch her walk out of the class more than once. Shouldn't you at least say something? Well, Nakai, it's not really that simple. Every student here has special needs. If it weren't for that, then we wouldn't have a school here. For example, I wouldn't keep you in class if you're having trouble breathing, would I? But that's not... Muto cuts me off before I can even think about finishing my sentence. Ikazawa's case is very much like that, but instead of CPR or a pacemaker, what she needs is time and space. The faculty was made aware of this from the day she arrived here, thus whenever she feels the need to leave class, we let her do so. And even though she isn't a star pupil, she seems to pass all her exams, so it hasn't affected her ability to study. Isn't that enough? I open my mouth to protest, but I can't find a fault in his argument. While her condition does at first seem to be wholly physiological, its worst effects have been on her psyche. It still puts me off though. Isn't she just passing on the responsibility for her problem? No? Surely she can't go like this for her entire life? Maybe eventually she will go over it. I understand that you might not be used to this kind of thing yet. It's been a big change for you. That said, it's less than a year until graduation now. Maybe you won't have to get used to this school. If you keep your head down, I'm sure you'll do well enough in your exams. I numbly not. More to simply acknowledge that I'm listening out of agreement. I felt like I was getting used to this school, but it feels like it's just been thrown back in my face. But what about Hanako? I believe, well I hope, that she'll perform well enough to do what she wants to do. What this is, I don't know. Not all students leave school with an idea of what they want to do, unfortunately. Truth. He takes care to emphasize the last words, as it wasn't quite clear enough already, and gives him on to mull his words over. Today's been a troublesome day for you, and I doubt you'll be able to concentrate much anyway after all that's happened. So I'll allow you to take the rest of the day off. Your grades have been good in this class so far, which makes me think you won't have any trouble catching up on what we've been doing. He gives a small smile along with his praise, as to make up for the seriousness of his lecturing before now. Go collect your things, and I'll see you tomorrow. Right, thank you. Muto's roundabout speech has left my thoughts scattered. I'm still not even close to working out what I can do to help Hanako, if anything, and my mind is all the more confused after what Muto said. I'm also still bothered by the fact that Hanako was helped at least as much by Shizune and her enemy by proxy as by myself. But I don't know whether that is just male bravado or a genuine concern. Both? While I collect Hanako's and my things from class, I continue to try and sort out my feelings. I would say that I understand her, and that I'm there for her. But while I might have been able to say that just yesterday, I can't say it now. I don't think you understand her. That's the case as well. But you can be there for her. I wish I could. I lay on my bed, trying to collect my thoughts. After Hanako's panic attack, I found myself fundamentally reassessing the relationship we share and what I know about her. I had a hard enough time living with 4 months in the hospital. One look at her scars tells me that she was in one for a lot longer than I was. Be that as it may, I know next to nothing about her past. She has told me about the house fire, but only in the most basic way. And what of her family? I still haven't asked Lily about them. There hasn't been a good opportunity to bring it up. I mean, come on man, connect the dots. I know where she grew up, or what her old school was like, nor of her past friends, wishes, ambitions, not even her tastes in music, food and movies, all the little things that I knew about all of my old friends. Just what have I been doing? For all this time, I've been with her and Lily. In the distance I hear the bells signaling the end of the classes. With any luck, Lily will soon realize that neither Hanako nor I are around and return to the dormitories. But my phone number starts to ring, cutting my thinking short. It quite startles me, as I've rarely been called since coming to Yamaku. Hello. Hisao Nakai speaking.
Oh, Hisao, I'm glad I found you. You weren't at any of the usual places, so I thought this would be the fastest way to contact you.
I probably should have guessed it would be Lily, as she's one of the few people I've given my number to. Even through the phone, her voice sounds slightly on the edge. Hanako and I left class early. She had some kind of panic attack. The line goes silent. If it weren't for the background static, I would have thought Lee had hung up on me.
I understand. Could you come by my room? I'd like to talk with you.
Sure. I'd appreciate the chance to have a bit of a talk, actually.
Good. I also have some bad news. I think we should discuss this in person.
It's hard to grasp the seriousness of the situation from Liz though. She sounds so calm most of the time, but that could be a good or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it.
Okay, I'll be right there.
I collect Hanako's school things from my desk and head straight for Lily's room. I rap my neck on the door, and she soon calls me in. Lily sits at a table inside of her room, looking towards for where.
I guess that's because of the bad news.
Following her gesture of invitation, I sit across from her and lay Hanako's things on the table.
Well, there is no point in either of us waiting. Would you mind going first, Hisao? What happened today?
My memory of this is already beginning to fade, but I explain it as best as I can to Lily. Inviting Hanako to work with the group. Shizun and Misha's questioning. Our foray to town getting discovered, because I can't keep my mouth shut, and a subsequent panic attack. I add Shizun's reaction almost as an afterthought, but Lily seems to take some kind of comfort in hearing about it. I guess rivals don't become rivals for no reason. There must be some history there, but now isn't the time to explore it.
I see. She had said her therapy session would correct me, but I had my doubts. It's quite a shame. Her birthday has caused problems before, but I had hoped that she would have improved with you around and a more intensive therapy. Where is Hanako now?
Last time I saw her, she was in the infirmary. I guess she's gone back to her room by now.
She was in the library of the tea room when I checked, so I can only assume that too.
You said you had some bad news. What's the matter? Does it concern Hanako? Huh? Lee shifts her position. The body's way of saying she's searching for the right words.
My aunt has fallen gravely ill. I'm afraid I'm going to be heading back to Scotland to visit her and to spend some time with my family. What? Is she alright? When did you leave? I'm not altogether sure of exactly how she's faring at the moment. For last I heard she was stable. I'll be leaving Saturday. It's the earliest flight I could get.
Stable. That's code for needs to stay in the hospital. I've been stable long enough to know that, and to know that Sorry, that it doesn't necessarily mean someone is in good condition, but merely treading the water. On the upside, stable is much better than the critical condition. At least she is not on the brink of death. Stable. That's a relief.
Yeah, but this means that I won't be here for Hanako's birthday. I'll tell you now so we could think of something before we told Hanako, but after today's events, I'm not even sure if there's going to be an issue if we simply cancel the party.
I don't think that is such a good idea. Hanako already knows that we are planning a party now. To go back on that seems like a wrong thing to do. Also, we should do something for you going away, right?
You make it sound as if I won't be coming back. If all goes well, I shan't be away for a week. For possibly 2.
That's one relief at least.
With that in mind, what do you suggest then?
Given the circumstances, I don't think karaoke is really appropriate. And you're not... Sorry, dog. And we're not going away for the greatest of reasons, so having too much fun would feel wrong. What did you do for her birthday last year?
Last year, after we couldn't get her out of her room, she'd locked her door. All I could do was leave food outside for her, making sure that she was at least eating well.
This is perhaps the most depressed I've ever seen and heard Lily act. I feel sorry for her, given how defeated she must feel to be unable to help her closest friend. Perhaps it would be better to throw the party before we leave then.
That does sound like it would be the easiest option.
I think we should at least tell Hanako both about the trip and her party. I have her things from class as well.
That's a good point. Should we go and visit her now?
I think that would be a good idea. Part of me is dying to see Hanako. The last time I saw her she looked like death walking, and these last few hours had torn me apart just thinking about that. We quietly get up and file out of Lily's room. Hanako's room is next door in the same hallway. Knocking lightly gets us no response, but the door proves to be unlocked. Lily pauses for a moment as the handle unexpectedly moves under her hand before opening the door. Hanako's room is startlingly bare and monotone. There are no decorations on the plain white walls, a plain dark blue blanket, and only a few books, papers, and purely utilitarian items on the shelves. Even her bedsheets are monochrome. The entire room feels as subdued as Hanako's character. Hanako herself is laying curled up on her bed. She may not be crying now, but her eyes are closed tightly to stop herself, and the tracks left by the tears still sit on her reddened cheeks. I quietly walk in and set her back down her desk, afraid of startling her too much.
Hello, Hanako. Hisao told me what happened today. Are you alright?
Hanako's eyes open, for only a little.
I'm okay.
She tilts her head slightly to look at me, noticing my grimace before I can hide it.
Sorry for making you worry. Really, I'm fine now.
Surely doesn't look nor sound okay, for at least she seems more calm than she was before. She still looks as if the slightest breeze could emotionally break her. I said it before, right? You don't need to be sorry for this.
Hisao is right. I shouldn't have hidden something like a birthday celebration from you.
I see Hanako shiver the word. Lee picks up on the silence and follows, and crouches down to Hanako's level.
I'm the one who should be sorry, Hanako.
Hanako's eyes open repeatedly. She looks at Lee for some time, taking her face with those dark, analytical eyes of hers. Lee must have made the right impression on her, as Hanako recovers enough to prop herself up on the bed and shift to sitting on its side. Hanako worries about many things, but troubling others is foremost among them. Hearing Hanako shuffling, Lee moves forward and feels out the side of the bed, eventually taking a seat beside her and taking Hanako's left hand in both hers. The feeling of me being out of place when the two are together has lessened in the time that we've known each other, but it's still occasionally very much there. It's one of those times I think, Leave, you want me to go?
I don't want that.
Lee and I are both surprised at Hanako mastering her courage. A half mumbled okay is all I can give her in reply, and I take her desk chair to sit.
Hanako, I'm afraid I have some bad news.
So he's going to break the news now. Not the best timing, but with Hanako having affirmed our relationship so quickly, perhaps Lee thought the timing was good, or at least as good as it will ever be.
My aunt has fallen ill, so I need to return to my family for a time.
Concern replaces Hanako's remorseful expression.
Family? You mean into Scotland, right? That's right. Akira and I will be leaving Saturday. So you're going away? I won't be gone for long. Probably a week or two. I'll be back before you know it, and Hisao will be here, right?
That's right. I'm not going anywhere. Hanako seems to take only minor comfort in this, but she does manage to summon some resolve from somewhere inside of her.
Is your aunt going to be alright? I'm not sure.
Silence follows. It's surprising that the thing to truly bring Hanako out of her rut is another misfortune. I decided to bring up the other matter that brought us here, so distract at least in part from the dismal feeling permeating the room. Anyway, we're thinking that it would be a good idea to have going away party for Lee, and it could double us. Yeah. I cut myself before mentioning her birthday, as that seems to be a trigger for such fierce emotion within her. Lee gives Hanako's hand a gentle squeeze.
Is it alright by you, Hanako? It won't be anything lavish, overdone. Just something small in my room. So, just in the school? Just us? That's right. Just the three of us. If you like, I could ask Akira to come as well. Oh, okay. You're only going for a week. 1 week or two, yes. I promise you it won't be any longer. Okay.
Most people would be upset at hearing about a friend's family member falling ill, and happy at having a party, but with Hanako it seems that both events are on the same level. Alright then, you look like you need rest, Hanako, so it might be best if we all went back to our rooms for now?
You know that if you ever want anything, you can always talk to me or Hisao, right?
Lee's voice is pensive, an unusual edge for someone as confident in herself as she.
I understand. Thank you. Really? Hisao? Well then, good night, Hanako. Night.
I let out a long breath after the door closes behind us. It feels a little like I've been deep underwater, and only now have been able to come up for air. Lee doesn't seem to be doing well either. She looks pale and drawn. Are you alright?
I'm just a little tired. It's been hectic recently.
Have you slept at all? A little tired sounds like an understatement given how you look.
I think I managed to get a couple of hours of sleep before class. I'll be okay.
I feel bad about pressing Lily right now. I think both of us are pretty tired from everything that's happened as well. I think you should get some rest. It's been a big day, and staying up isn't good for your complexion.
Thank you for concern, Hisao. Good night then.
Okay, night, Lily. I leave Lily in the hallway as she opens the door to her room and begins to make my way to my own. As I walk down the quiet hallway, I can't get that image of Hanako out of my mind. Huddled and pitiable, lying helpless with tears on her cheeks. I began to think that she was just a normal, if extremely shy person, but her problems run much deeper. Trying to take our relationship further than what we do share now, when she's so fragile and vulnerable, wouldn't be right. I don't need to be more than her friend in order to protect her, to try and stop anything like this ever happening again. The possibility of my feelings for her going beyond it, that doesn't matter anymore. Hanako is precious to me, and that's why I can't take advantage of her. But even so, there is still that sting I feel when I think that way. For now, I need to sleep. Tomorrow, hopefully, will be a better day. We'll find out in the next episode. But given on what ending we are going after right now, we know it might probably not be. Anyway, for now, hope you enjoyed. the episode. Hope to see you in the next one, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye bye.